When it comes to the CPS investigations, there has been 8 launched and all of them were acquitted.
If I gave you a safe place to go, will you be able to go there?
Not entirely sure.
Why?
Because all of my brothers are here.
Baby, listen. You need to get your brother's help too. You need to get out of here so you can help your brothers. If you don't talk about it, he could bring you guys diseases, anything.
I'm aware, but I plan on going to the police pretty soon, essentially waiting until I'm 18 because I actually have a timer, like a quite literal timer. I turn 18 in 16 days, 1 hour, 17 minutes, and 11, 10, 9, 8, 7.
This is really bothering
6,
me right now.
5,
Not even
4, 3, 2, 1, 16 minutes, 1 hour, and 16 days. Oh my gosh, he just called me. My dad just called me. He'll be home soon.
Hello?
Hello?
Time and time again, the internet has proven that behind a facade of a happy family, evil can be lurking. Nowhere is that more apparent than with Haim Nassim Cohen, a single father from Houston, Texas, who would adopt 9 boys and abuse them physically, mentally, and sexually, all while the boys were forced to perform and keep up the appearance of a happy family for their adoptive father's 200,000 TikTok followers. Cohen would manage to fly under the radar for years and abuse 6 of his 9 adoptive children. Today, we will be covering the horrifying crimes committed by Cohen and telling the story of how these 6 children managed to escape the hell they were living in. This is the story of our unique family. Within this video, I'll be featuring real audio from a podcast in which one of Cohen's victims details the things that were done to him. This recording will not be censored. Viewer discretion is advised. Before we get to their eventual rescue, I'll briefly go over how this monster came to be the father of 9 young boys. Not a lot is known about Haim Nassim Cohen, just that he is believed to have been born in 1984 and claims to have spent time assisting foster children who are in bad situations by donating things like books and clothing. He claimed to have always been drawn to the idea of helping those who were less fortunate and seemed to care so much that those he was in contact with at the organizations he donated to encouraged him to become a foster, or so Cohen himself claims. But that is when he would get to know 2 boys in the system who were exposed to abuse and neglect by their biological mother and began to foster them. Around September 3rd of 2013, the County Court of Ector County, Texas, would rule that it was in the best interest of the children to stay with Cohen instead of returning to their biological mother. Allegedly, at the time, the boys had shown that they had been thriving under his care and had expressed a desire to stay with Cohen as well. Soon after, he would formally adopt them. This would only be the start, however, as somehow the man was allowed to adopt 7 other children, eventually becoming a single father to 9 boys. Cohen has declared himself a rabbi, but would not have any officially stated income. So it is actually pretty unknown how or why he was allowed to adopt so many children, with many pointing out that they themselves have been turned down for various reasons that seem not to apply to Cohen. Others seem to think that Cohen was forcing these boys into a religious lifestyle, but there is actually a TikTok featured prominently on their account addressing if they are actually forced to act or behave religiously. But the answer they provide at the time is no, stating it is all a choice they make every morning. And while it paints a picture of those who are unafraid to embrace their religion, in hindsight, some of the messaging feels far more sinister, stating they don't do the things that they do out of fear or confusion, but out of a desire to serve their creator. Again, while on the surface this is about religious beliefs in the afterlife, and is most likely a script provided by Cohen, it is hard not to see some disturbing similarities between it and the horrible condition the boys were living under. Because despite what is said in this TikTok, according to the boys, each time someone was brought into the home, he would change the name of the boy during the adoption process and force them to grow their hair out and dress a certain way. Sometime around March 25th, 2020, Cohen would decide to capitalize on the, for lack of a better term, unique family he had created, and would make a TikTok account, YouTube account, and website entitled Our Unique Family, where he would post content heavily and sometimes exclusively featuring the boys. But while Cohen was busy projecting the image of a unique yet happy family for the world, on January 30th, 2023, a boy who would identify himself as Yuyu would call into a podcast hosted by Twyer Paines called Blind Skin Beauty. Although I am not censoring the topics discussed, I have modified the order of this recording to group relative information.
What's going on?
11 years old. You're Now I'm 17. Does he use condoms? Please explain, because you can't stay there. Is he doing it to anybody else? He's doing it to all of you guys.
I used to work with Newark, New Jersey, the police department. You can go to a police precinct.
I do know the sergeant personally, and I know the commander. Now, the problem here is it's essentially my word versus all of my brothers, and I don't want to give any information that could... I already know how NCIC and PCIC work. I know how a lot of the different things work, so I don't want to provide too much detailed information. I just want to know what should be done.
Well, it's not your word against your brothers, because your brothers are not the ones that's doing this to you, are they? Is it?
No. But technically, when it comes to the CPS investigations, there has been 8 launched, and all of them were acquitted. So, hold on, I was just checking to see if my father was coming home, because I thought that there was a car. Also,
Do you want my phone number?
Also, I delete every single social media app once my dad comes home, because I have, I guess you could say, a skill for hearing and feeling engines. So essentially what I'm saying is, anytime we make a CPS investigation, he'll either bribe us or he'll just directly scare us. And 2 of my brothers are 7 and 8. So there is no chance I'm smart enough to take a burner phone, which is what this phone is operating through. It's just Wi-Fi. My dad doesn't even know I have it. I'm about to be 18, and I don't know exactly what I'm going to do. I have a driver's license, which is valid, and the thing about it is I'm not allowed to have it.
Let me ask you a question. Where are you at right now? Can you just leave and go somewhere? Like, if I gave you a safe place to go, will you be able to go there?
Not entirely sure.
Why?
Because all of my brothers are here.
Baby, listen. You need to get your brothers help too. You need to get out of here so you can help your brothers. I was raped too when I was young. And you know something? I wish that I was more brave, do something different. Because then you have to worry about the fact that if you don't talk about it, he could be doing that to your little brothers. They're 7 and 8 years old. You don't want... Geez, like anything could happen. If he's doing that to other kids, he could bring you guys diseases, anything.
I'm aware, but I plan on going to the police pretty soon. Essentially waiting until I'm 18, because I actually have a timer, like a quite literal timer.
When you say
February
rape,
16th,
do you mean rape or do you mean molest? Like, is he actually penetrating?
No. Yes, I'm aware of the difference.
Gosh.
I turn 18 in 16 days, 1 hour, 17 minutes, and 11, 10, 9, 8, 7.
This is really bothering
6,
me right now.
5,
Not even.
4, 3, 2, 1, 16 minutes, 1 hour, and 16 days.
When are you going to go to the police?
I do plan on going to the police. That's why I have a counter.
You don't want to wait to that date. Tomorrow is the date you should go to the police. What state are you in?
I don't want to provide that.
So how are you expect us to give you help, babe? And what if you don't make it to your 18th birthday? You're counting down to it. What if he feels like, well, once he turns 18 years old, he's going to leave or something? If he's this sneaky to be raping you from 11 to 17, what makes you think that he's not going to do anything else? He sounds like he's definitely not a good person at all.
One of the major things that happens here that I don't even want to say it, I'll type it. Basically, he's going to just say, no, it was you.
He makes us with each other. He makes y'all have sex with each other, you and your brothers?
Yes. My brothers weren't the ones that were doing it. It was my father making us.
If you go to the police, they will do something.
If they have information. Wouldn't they need a warrant for anything?
No.
And they will keep you safe. They're not going to let you go back to that house, and they're going to pull every kid out of there, which needs to happen. And he needs to be in jail. You need...
Once they pull you out from where you live, they're not going to bring you back there.
And they won't bring no other child in there neither, especially with these allegations, until a full investigation is done.
There was 8 full investigations done.
Okay, but...
not once have they removed us.
Listen to this, though, because you're saying there was 8. So who told them that people were being touched?
My other brothers have, one of them ran away and was returned by the constable. And then the constable stated that there was allegations made And CPS came the next day. They took us to the child assessment center, where not just me, but 7 of my other brothers testified against the word of my other brother, which essentially ruled it out. They also decided that he was not cognitive mind, so they gave him even more medications.
After whatever trial you had, did it happen again?
It happened multiple times. This has been going on since I was 11.
Okay, this is what I'm telling you. Anything after the trial is new.
Okay, well, thank you so much for telling me, because I didn't know that. That's like one of the major things that I didn't know I could go back. My number one fear was that I would be tried for lying to them. And I guess like assisting, since I kept it a secret.
No, you're a minor. Trust me, you'll be fine.
I will tell you the state I'm in. I'm in the state of Texas. And
Oh my God, they
I'm
will
not
fry
sure.
him inside of the state of Texas. They will fry him. They'll probably have him on a death penalty, for goodness sakes. The state of Texas is overly commonwealth.
if you lie to CPS, you are and willingly testify in a illegal manner, you are committing a crime. Essentially, like, if I know it's happening and I'm too scared to say it's happening, and I tell the judge it never happened, and then I come back years later and say, oh, it for sure was happening, and I've got evidence to prove it, am I going to jail?
No,
Even if I made a sworn testimony that it wasn't?
you're not going to jail.
I have sorta kinda gotten caught telling other people online, and he got terrified because I told him I have physical evidence, but the thing is, his lawyer stated that any evidence presented past the point of his trial, which has already passed, would be ruled nullified based on you can't try a person twice for the same crime.
It's not the same crime if he still does it.
Correct, but the evidence that I have is presented for the crime that was before stated, which was sexual indecency with a child on 8 counts.
No, listen to me. When did you have the trial?
I don't want to give too much information.
If he went on and did it again, that's new. That's not old. That's a whole new case. That's all new evidence. That's new that you can use.
If I don't hear from you tomorrow, God willing, I'm going to take matters into my own hand, because I don't like the way this is sounding, babes. I need you need to be safe. And not only you, but you have other kids inside of there that's being hurt.
You know those like little things that go into micro USB chips? No, it's like the little. Oh my gosh, he just called me. My dad just called me. He'll be home soon.
Hello?
Hello? I mean, because you're right there. You're in this. You're one of the explorers. So you're around cops. So it's not like you're not able to. You just have to speak. You let them know.
He left.
If you would like to listen to the 46-minute long uncut podcast, I am adding Payne's channel to the description below. Please consider supporting the channel by subscribing, because it was thanks to her podcast that Cohen's crimes finally came to light. Because after the podcast concluded, Haynes would contact the authorities after she managed to discover who Yu was with the few clues he offered. The police would also be able to use the call to track the IP address to Cohen's house, confirming Payne's theory on his true identity. When authorities arrived, they would take Cohen into custody and directly ask the boys about the abuse they had allegedly faced. However, upon doing so, they would all deny the claims. This was, however, until the boy they suspected of being Yu was played the recording of the podcast he had appeared on, reportedly causing him to lower his head and shake in fear. He would admit that yes, he was the caller, and yes, the claims he had made during the podcast were true. 5 of his brothers would also come forth and corroborate these claims. 3 would be legally adults at the time, and some would deny them. More on this later. The boy, who I will continue to address as Yu, would tell authorities that he had not reported the abuse earlier due to the fact that he thought they wouldn't believe him if he was under 18. As mentioned in the podcast, he claimed CPS had investigated their adoptive father upwards of 8 times, and although they did not out Cohen for his crimes directly, Cohen would still be allowed to continue to house, raise, and abuse the boys. CPS refuses to comment on how many times Cohen had been investigated. Yu would also tell authorities that the abuse had begun 6 years prior when he was just 11 years old and began only 2 weeks after his adoption, starting with Cohen asking the boy for massages, eventually leading to sexual abuse, and then rape when he was 14 years old. Some publications have suggested Cohen would use extreme measures against the boys if they were unwilling to participate, even sometimes resulting in Cohen allegedly pepper spraying the boys in order to prevent them from resisting. When Cohen had finally appeared in court for his bail sentencing, it was easy to notice 3 things about him. He looked disheveled, bruised, and to be carrying some kind of medical device. One can only speculate where these marks on his face had originated, but the device he was carrying would actually have a disturbing story of its own, that being the fact that Cohen was lying to the court and the world by telling them that he was in hospice and had not 1, but 2 terminal illnesses, a lie the court was all too familiar with since in 2019, Cohen had been charged with indecency with a child while housing a foreign exchange student from Spain, a crime that he had managed to avoid facing consequences of by feigning terminal illness, despite not providing the court with any documentation proving the illnesses to be, at best, a self-diagnosis, but most likely an outright lie. The state would use footage captured of Cohen beating one of the boys with a belt obtained during their search, as well as claims from the sons that Cohen would only use his wheelchair and oxygen masks around other people who were not in the family to persuade the judge that he had falsely represented his condition to avoid the consequences of his actions and ensure he was not given the option to be bailed out a second time. Now, you did hear me right. Cohen was in fact actively facing charges regarding abuse of an underage boy in 2019, because in addition to housing 9 adopted children, he would also open his home up to house foreign exchange students, at one time having as many as 11 boys in his care, including his children. For one boy who had come from Spain, Cohen would allegedly begin to assert his dominance by punishing him severely for minor issues and taking his phone, preventing him from contacting his own family. Allegedly, the program that had brought the boy to Cohen was supposed to check up on him regularly, but according to the boy, never did. That is when Cohen would begin to request massages from the boy, eventually asking for more and more until he was forcing the boy to pleasure him. If he had attempted to refuse, Cohen would threaten to have him kicked out of the exchange program and sent back to Spain. For several months, this boy would endure the abuse out of a desire to complete his education with the program. However, one day he simply had enough and told his teachers about the abuse he was facing at the hands of Cohen. Of course, the police would be contacted by the teachers and Cohen would be arrested. But for some reason, after posting bail and returning home, his 9 boys continued to be allowed to stay in his care. It is unknown how many, if any, attempts there were to investigate Cohen and see if he had been abusing his own boys in a similar manner. And as previously mentioned, Cohen would avoid facing consequences of these actions in any real way for over a year due to the fact that he had faked being terminally ill. Looking back now, the only word that comes to mind when thinking of Cohen and the way he presents himself, other than evil, is fake. Because Cohen, or should I say Jeffrey Lujan Vigil, as he was originally called, has changed his name at least 4 times according to this article, which states he had been known under the names Chimnasim Vigil, Gabriel Jeffrey Vigil, and Gabriel Rosenberg. Of course, eventually deciding on Cohen. The article would also suggest that all of these changes had occurred between 2009 and 2010. On top of that, there would also be claims that, who I will continue to address as Cohen, may have never actually converted to Judaism in any official manner, with members of the Jewish community around Houston stating that around the time he had changed his name, Cohen had just appeared. He would go on to make several claims about his origins, including originally being from New York, Jerusalem, and Yemen, despite the fact that he was born and raised in Texas. Any questions regarding the truth behind these claims would be met with lies about the medical conditions he was allegedly suffering. A since-deleted user on Reddit would ask about them about 2 years ago, after noticing multiple posts on TikTok and Instagram that kept suggesting they followed different forms or offshoots of Judaism. A user would respond, "I can only say that I right away noticed that something is odd. They don't act like real Hasidic Jews." But now, with no bail, Cohen remains in custody, and 6 of the boys, those who were not of age at the time of rescue, have been removed from the home. On Facebook, to his 4.2 thousand friends, Cohen has described himself as a proud father of 9 amazing kids, and says that he felt truly blessed each and every day, despite his last post being on February 6th, 2023, just about 4 days before his arrest. Viewers, both of his content and content like this, highlighting his crimes, seem to have flooded the comment section with gifs screenshots of his crimes, and links to articles about the disturbing things he had done. The link featured on this account to their YouTube channel is no longer active, but through a little searching, I was able to find that the channel is still up and has just shy of 10,000 subscribers with 227 videos and just over 673,000 views. Although the comments are a little less aware of what transpired, or at the very least, were posted before news had gone out, some videos, especially those featuring Cohen, would see a large spike in comments mentioning the crimes. Their TikTok, which is the most popular account, is still up as well, with just shy of 200,000 followers. But with the comments of every video turned off, dating all the way back to their first upload, or at least the oldest upload available to view on March 25th of 2020. By my count, 14 of their videos have reached over 1 million views, with one reaching over 4 million. The account has over 3.9 million likes, but appears to not have been used since February 9th of 2023. Their website would feature a tab for media, in which it is said Cohen has been featured in several articles due to the fact he had adopted 9 children. Today, only about 30% of those articles are still up. It would seem that all the boys have moved on, or at the very least, have abandoned their unique family identities, and are hopefully in better care now. And that is where the story really should end. But on July 13th, charges would be filed against Avshalom Cohen, the oldest son of the 9, for 4 counts of abusing 2 of his younger siblings. Reportedly, when Avshalom was between the ages of 18 or 19, he had abused his brothers, who were only 14, on numerous occasions, spanning around 14 months. The boy who initially made these claims said he first began to be abused by Avshalom while he was sleeping and initially believed it to be his father, since that is something that he had regularly done. But this, however, was just another charge for Avshalom, as the man who had once expressed an interest in becoming a police officer, according to the family's website, would be caught transporting 8 undocumented migrants last April, as well as being in possession of a weapon, ammo, and a fake police badge. They would also find a weapon and unlabeled pill bottles in Avshalom's home. However, this is mostly where the story ends, as the last piece of information I can find suggests Avshalom is being held on a $25,000 bail with no set date for his trial, and his father is possibly scheduled to begin his trial on the 1st of September. Cohen has since stopped bringing medical equipment into court, although he continues to insist on being transported by wheelchair. Well, that's about it. If you made it this far, I think you'd like this video on 5 evil UK serial killers. Subscribe, and I'll see you next time.